The House Judiciary Committee held a hearing with Special Counsel Robert Hur on his report about President Biden's mishandling of classified information. And I think one of the biggest lessons that we've relearned is that Democrat politicians love to lie. Hello, I'm Mike Huckabee. This is the March 14th edition of The Breakdown. I can prove all the elements, but there's a slight chance someone won't believe us and will have sympathy for the old man. Well, that's a new criminal standard I'd love to use for my clients, but unfortunately, I don't think it'll work for mine. Well, that's how federal litigator Vic Bajaj summed up Special Counsel Robert Hur's reasoning on the Biden classified documents case, as Hur had explained before the House Judiciary Committee on Tuesday. Bajaj noted that under Department of Justice policy, diminished capacity doesn't mean the person isn't charged for a crime, only that his attorneys have the right to raise the issue. But Hur departed from that policy. And no matter what spin the Democrats put on this hearing, the fact that Joe Biden, with enough stimulants, was able to stay up past his bedtime and read or bark a bizarre, disjointed State of the Union speech from a teleprompter did not allay their concerns about Biden's ongoing cognitive decline or the political landmines they face as a result of it. During the hearing, President Trump, who, unlike Biden, has been charged by a special counsel over his handling of so-called classified documents, took to Truth Social to post a highlight from the hearing.
Mr. Hur, classified documents were found at the Penn Biden Center?
That's correct.
They were found in President Biden's garage?
In Wilmington, Delaware, yes.
And in his basement den?
Also in the same home, yes.
In his main floor office?
Correct.
And his third floor den?
Correct.
At the University of Delaware?
Correct.
And at the Biden Institute?
Correct.
That is a lot of classified documents that Biden took as a senator or vice president over the last 40 years. But the biggest takeaway from this hearing might have been the Democrats' stunningly psychotic behavior, repeatedly putting words in his mouth. Take Representative Pramila Jayapal, who claimed that Hur exonerated President Biden, even though Hur said no such thing.
So this lengthy, expensive, and independent investigation resulted in a complete exoneration of President Joe Biden.
I need to go back and make sure that I take note of the word that you used, exoneration. That is not a word that
I'm
appears
going
in
to
the
continue
report,
with
and that's
my
not part of my
questions.
task as a
I'm going to
prosecutor.
continue with my questions. I know that the term.
I ultimately reached
I know that
whether
the term.
sufficient evidence existed such that the likely outcome
You exonerated
would be a conviction.
him. I know that
did
the
not
term
exonerate him.
willful
That word does not appear in
retention
the
has a.
report, Congresswoman.
Mr. Hur, it's my time. Thank you.
Not only is she lying through her teeth, but she also has the gall to criticize this lengthy investigation into Biden after what they pulled with the Mueller report. I might ask if she had any shame, but I think we just saw the answer to that question. Judiciary Committee Ranking Member Jerry Nadler also had the gall to remark in his opening statement that Hur's report represents the complete and total exoneration of President Biden.
I believe, as is his habit, that President Biden probably committed a verbal slip or two during the interview. And I'm not sure any of that matters, because when the interview was over, Mr. Hur completely exonerated President Biden.
See what I mean about being psychotic? What really happened, as you may recall, is that Hur expressed concern in his report that a jury would likely see Joe Biden as an elderly man with a poor memory, and this might make it difficult to try the case. But if the evidence is there, that's not good reason not to charge someone. So if Hur is using a bogus reason, even defying DOJ policy, just to let the case go, yet they are prosecuting Donald Trump in a similar one, what else could that mean but that we really do have a two-tier justice system? And the fact is, we do. Here's how Robert Hur explained his decision to include the comments about age and memory.
The evidence and the president himself put his memory squarely at issue. We interviewed the president and asked him about his recorded statement. Quote, "I just found all the classified stuff downstairs," end quote. He told us that he didn't remember saying that to his ghostwriter. He also said he didn't remember finding any classified material in his home after his vice presidency. And he didn't remember anything about how classified documents about Afghanistan made their way into his garage.
Newsmax quotes California Representative Tom McClintock as calling Hur's decision not to prosecute, quote, a glaring double standard, end quote, which of course it is. McClintock said the possible sympathies of a jury don't bear on an individual's guilt or innocence. This is a question for a judge after guilt or innocence is determined. And he concluded brilliantly with this.
The foundation of our justice system is equal justice under law. That's what gives the law its respect and its legitimacy. It doesn't matter who comes before her. All are treated equally. You destroy this foundation, and the rule of law becomes a sick mockery. It becomes a weapon to wield against political rivals and a tool of despotism. And I am desperately afraid that this decision of the Department of Justice is now crossed a very bright line. And I yield back.
Speaking of sick mockery, Nick Arama over at Red State thinks that California Representative Eric Swalwell might just take the prize for the sleaziest questioning of Robert Hur. It wasn't even questioning per se, but more an attempt to use his time just to smear President Trump.
Well, a lot has changed since 2018 for the person who appointed you, former President Trump. Since you were appointed, he was impeached for leveraging 350 million U.S. taxpayer dollars over Ukraine to get dirt on President Biden. He was then impeached a second time for inciting an insurrection. He was charged for possessing classified documents and obstructing justice. He was charged for paying for the silence of a porn star. He was charged in Georgia for his role in January 6th. He was charged in the District of Columbia for his role in January 6th. He owes $400 million to the state of New York for defrauding the state through his taxes, and he has been judged a rapist.
Congressman, I'm not here to testify
Seems like an easy
about
answer,
what will happen in the future.
considering what I just laid out.
I'm here to talk about the report and the work that went into it. And
but you don't want to be associated with that guy again, do you?
It's not usually my style to talk about someone in the way I'm about to, but we should lament having someone in the U.S. Congress who is that much of a slime bucket. The other big reveal from this hearing was the transcript of one of Hur's interviews with Joe Biden, where the date of Beau Biden's death, Joe Biden's son, was brought up in the course of the testimony. Now, you may recall President Biden saying this.
I know there's some attention paid to some language in the report about my recollection of events. There's even reference that I don't remember when my son died. How in the hell dare he raise that?
As it turns out, Robert Hur didn't bring Beau into it to begin with. That was all Biden, as he is so fond of doing in even the most inappropriate of situations. This is how the exchange went, according to the transcript. During his interview with President Biden on October 8th of last year, Robert Hur asked Joe Biden where he kept a bunch of his papers after he'd left the White House in 2017. Biden says, quote, "Remember, in this time frame, my son has either been deployed or is dying, and so it was. And by the way, there were still a lot of people at the time when I got out of the Senate that were encouraging me to run in this period, except the president. And so what was happening, though? What month did Beau die? Oh, God, May 30th, end quote. An unidentified male in the room told Joe Biden it was 2015. Quote, "Was it 2015 he had died?" Biden asked, which someone else confirmed. It was 2015, Biden continued, and what's happened in the meantime is that and Trump gets elected in November of 2017, an unidentified individual in the room corrected Biden to note that it was 2016. The president asked why he had 2017 in front of him, at which point White House counsel Ed Siskel clarified that that was when Joe Biden had left office as vice president. That's right. Biden brought Beau up to begin with, but couldn't even get the dates straight, and Hur just noted the facts. But guess what? According to Hur's testimony, the White House and Attorney General Merrick Garland pressured him to change that aspect of the report.
So is it correct on that February 5th letter that was sent to you asking you to change references to the president's poor memory? Wasn't there a request by the White House to do that?
There was a request, yes.
And didn't the White House then go to the Attorney General himself and say that he would like to see changes to the references in regards to the president's memory?
The White House counsel did send such a letter.
Some of the media spin machine claimed that the transcript of Joe Biden's testimony shows that he did, after all, remember when his son Beau passed away. This causes us to suspect that the president isn't the only one showing signs of cognitive decline, as his shakiness on even the year it happened is right there in the transcript for all to see. On that day, he couldn't even remember the years that he was vice president and president. It's kind of understandable that Democrats are losing their minds, considering they've now painted themselves into a corner. Because if Joe Biden is mentally fit for office, as they insist, and Robert Hur had enough evidence to charge him, as he does, it means Joe Biden should be charged. Simple as that. Thus, a vote for Biden is a vote for either a doddering, senile old man or someone who should be criminally prosecuted. I wonder which they prefer. For me, the answer is really quite simple. Charge Biden and elect Trump. Well, thanks for watching, and I hope you'll consider subscribing to the channel. All you got to do is click the like button if you enjoyed the video, which I hope you did. And be sure to tune into the live stream tomorrow at 1:30 Central, where we'll cover more of the news of the week, and I'll answer questions that you will have and send in. Also, if you want more of my news analysis and commentary, sign up for my newsletter at MikeHuckabee.com. It's totally free. That'll do it for this edition of The Breakdown. I'm Mike Huckabee.